Yellow taxi lights smeared across wet asphalt. Steam curled from subway grates. Somewhere in the distance a police siren wailed through the cold November night. Sophia Carter stood outside a quiet funeral home on the Upper East Side, her hands shoved deep inside the pockets of her coat. 31 years old. Dark hair tied back in a loose bun. Exhaustion etched into her eyes after another brutal hospital shift. But tonight she wasn't here as a nurse. Tonight she was here as family. The kind of family that only shows up when money is involved. Across the street, black SUVs lined the curb like silent witnesses. One door opened and her Uncle Robert stepped out, adjusting the collar of his expensive wool coat. Sophia watched him for a moment. 5 years. That's how long it had been since he last visited Grandma Eleanor. 5 years of excuses. 5 years of silence. And now suddenly he was here. Because tonight the will was being read. And everyone knew Eleanor Carter had been worth millions. Robert spotted Sophia and gave a tight smile that never reached his eyes. Well, look who finally showed up. Sophia shrugged. I've been here the whole time, she said quietly. You're the one who disappeared. Robert ignored the jab and walked past her toward the entrance. Classic Uncle Robert. Never wrong. Never accountable. Just rich and entitled. Another car door slammed behind him and Sophia turned to see her cousin Ashley stepping out of the SUV, heels clicking against the wet pavement. Ashley was scrolling on her phone as usual, blonde hair perfectly styled despite the rain. She barely looked up. God, this weather sucks, she muttered. New York in November is depressing as hell. Sophia almost laughed. Ashley hadn't visited Grandma once while she was dying in the hospital 3 miles away. But now she had the energy to complain about rain. Ashley finally noticed Sophia standing there. Oh hey, she said casually. You made it. Sophia stared at her. I was here when she died. Ashley rolled her eyes. Yeah, we've all heard the Saint Sophia story. Sophia felt something tighten in her chest, but she didn't respond. Because arguing with Ashley was like yelling at a brick wall. Ashley tucked her phone into her purse. Anyway, she said, lowering her voice slightly, do you know how much Grandma was actually worth? Sophia shook her head. I never asked. Ashley snorted. Please. Don't pretend you're above it. Everyone knows the company sold property last year for millions. Sophia looked at the glowing windows of the funeral home. The place where her grandmother's life was about to be reduced to paperwork and signatures. I didn't come for money, she said. Ashley smirked. Sure you didn't. They walked inside. Warm air and the faint scent of lilies filled the quiet lobby. The Carter family was already gathering in the viewing room. Sophia immediately recognized the dynamic. Clusters of relatives whispering. Eyes scanning each other. Calculating. Like sharks circling the same piece of meat. At the front of the room stood a tall man in a dark suit holding a folder. Lawrence Whitaker. The Carter family attorney for nearly 40 years. Sophia remembered him from childhood holidays. Back when the family still pretended to like each other. Whitaker spotted her and nodded politely. Miss Carter, he said. Sophia walked over. Mr. Whitaker. His voice softened slightly. You were with your grandmother during her final weeks, correct? Sophia nodded. Yes. Whitaker sighed quietly. She spoke very highly of you. Sophia felt her throat tighten. Grandma Eleanor had been the only real constant in her life after her mother died. The only person in the Carter family who actually cared about people more than profit. Robert's loud voice suddenly cut across the room. All right, can we get this over with? He sat in the front row, legs crossed, irritation written all over his face. Ashley sat beside him scrolling again. Whitaker glanced at his watch. Well, he said calmly, everyone appears to be present. Sophia took a seat near the back. Rain tapped against the tall windows. Somewhere outside a taxi horn blared. Whitaker opened the folder. Tonight we are here to read the last will and testament of Eleanor Margaret Carter. The room went still. Sophia's fingers brushed against the envelope in her coat pocket. Grandma's letter. The one she'd been told not to open yet. Her grandmother's voice echoed in her memory. When they read my will, everything will change. Whitaker continued reading through legal language. Names. Dates. Formalities. Ashley leaned toward Robert and whispered loudly enough for Sophia to hear. This guy talks like a robot. Robert smirked. Lawyers get paid by the hour. Sophia ignored them. Her mind drifted back to the hospital room 2 weeks earlier. Machines humming softly. Snow falling outside the window. Grandma Eleanor lying weak but alert. You're the only one who came, Grandma had said quietly. Sophia squeezed her hand. Of course I came. Grandma studied her carefully. You always did have a good heart, she murmured. Sophia smiled. You raised me. That's your fault. Grandma chuckled faintly. Then her expression turned serious. Sophia, she said softly, have you ever wondered why your uncle pushes so hard to control the company? Sophia shrugged. He likes money? Grandma shook her head slowly. No. Her voice dropped to a whisper. He's afraid. Sophia frowned. Afraid of what? Grandma didn't answer. Instead she handed Sophia a sealed envelope. Don't open this yet, she said. Sophia looked confused. Why? Grandma squeezed her hand. Because when you read it, everything will change. Back in the funeral home, Whitaker turned another page. And now we will proceed with the estate distribution. Robert leaned forward instantly. Ashley stopped scrolling. The room tightened with anticipation. Whitaker cleared his throat. To my son, Robert Carter. Robert's smirk returned. I leave the sum of $1. The silence that followed felt like the entire building had stopped breathing. Robert blinked. What? Whitaker didn't look up. To my granddaughter Ashley Carter. Ashley straightened. I leave the sum of $1. Ashley stood up immediately. This has to be a joke. Whitaker continued calmly. To all remaining relatives listed within the Carter family registry. Every head leaned forward. I leave the sum of $1 each. Chaos erupted. Voices overlapped. You're kidding me. This is insane. She can't do that. Robert slammed his hand on the chair. My mother wouldn't cut us out like this. Whitaker raised his hand calmly. There is one remaining beneficiary. The room fell silent again. Whitaker looked up. Directly at Sophia. To my granddaughter Sophia Carter. Sophia felt every pair of eyes in the room snap toward her. Who stayed by my side when no one else did? Robert's jaw tightened. Whitaker finished reading. I leave the remainder of my estate. Robert's voice came out sharp. How much? Whitaker closed the document slowly. Approximately $2 million. Ashley whispered in disbelief. No freaking way. Sophia's heart pounded in her chest. $2 million. She had spent most of her life struggling to pay rent. Working overnight shifts. Skipping vacations. And now suddenly. This. Robert stood up, furious. This is manipulation, he shouted. She was sick. Someone clearly influenced her. Whitaker's expression didn't change. Your mother was mentally sound when the will was signed. Ashley pointed at Sophia. She brainwashed Grandma. Sophia stared at them. You guys didn't even visit her. Robert's voice turned cold. This isn't over. Whitaker raised his voice slightly. There is one additional instruction left by Eleanor Carter. Robert glared. What instruction? Whitaker looked at Sophia. She requested that Miss Carter read the letter she was given. Sophia froze. The envelope in her pocket suddenly felt heavy. Slowly she stood. Her fingers trembled as she opened it. The paper inside was filled with Eleanor Carter's shaky handwriting. Sophia began reading silently. Her expression shifted. Confusion. Shock. Then something darker. Ashley noticed. "What does it say?" she demanded. Sophia lowered the letter. The entire room waited. Rain slammed harder against the windows. Sophia's voice came out barely above a whisper. "My grandmother knew everything." Robert frowned. "Knew what?" Sophia looked directly at him. Her eyes cold now. "About the money you stole from her." The color drained from Robert's face. Ashley blinked. "What money?" Sophia folded the letter slowly. Grandma's final sentence echoed in her mind. A secret. A warning. A plan. Sophia looked back at Robert. And said quietly. "And tomorrow, the police will know too." Robert staggered back like he'd been punched. And in that moment Sophia realized something terrifying. The $2 million wasn't the real bomb her grandmother had left behind. The real bomb was the truth. And it was about to destroy the Carter family. Voices filled the funeral room like gunfire. Robert Carter's chair scraped violently across the floor as he stood up, his face pale and furious. The veins in his neck bulged as he pointed a shaking finger toward Sophia. "You better watch what you're saying," he snapped. Sophia didn't move. She stood near the back row with the letter still in her hand, her heartbeat pounding in her ears. A minute ago the room had been filled with greed. Now it was filled with fear. And Robert was the most afraid. Ashley crossed her arms and laughed nervously. "Oh my God, Sophia, stop being dramatic," she said. "You think Uncle Robert is stealing money from Grandma?" Sophia slowly lifted the letter. "I don't think," she said quietly. "I know." Whitaker, the lawyer, adjusted his glasses and looked at Robert carefully. He had practiced law long enough to recognize the moment when a room shifted from family drama to something more serious. Robert forced out a laugh. "This is ridiculous," he said loudly. "She's making things up because she suddenly thinks she's rich." Sophia's voice stayed calm. "You transferred money from Carter Holdings into shell companies over the last 4 years." Robert froze. Ashley blinked. "What?" Sophia continued. 3 companies registered in Delaware. 1 in Nevada. All tied to offshore accounts. Whitaker's eyebrows lifted slightly. Robert's eyes narrowed. "You've been snooping through company records?" Sophia shook her head slowly. "No." She lifted the letter again. "Grandma did." The room fell silent. Outside the tall windows, thunder rolled across the city. Ashley looked confused. "That doesn't even make sense," she said. "Grandma barely used email." Sophia gave a small sad smile. "She didn't need to." Then she turned the paper around so everyone could see the signature at the bottom. Eleanor Carter. Ashley's face slowly changed. Robert looked like someone had kicked him in the stomach. Sophia read from the page, her voice steady. "Robert believes I'm too old to notice the missing money. But I built this company from a folding table in Brooklyn. I know every dollar that moves through it." Robert suddenly stepped forward. "Enough," he snapped. Whitaker stood up immediately. "Mr. Carter, I strongly suggest you calm down." Robert looked around the room. Every relative was staring at him now. Not with respect. With suspicion. Robert forced another smile. "This is nonsense," he said. "My mother was sick. She probably misunderstood some accounting reports." Sophia folded the letter slowly. "You withdrew nearly $8 million. Ashley's mouth dropped open. $8 million? Robert slammed his hand on the chair again. "You think you can accuse me of a crime because of some old woman's notes?" Sophia's voice stayed quiet. She sent copies of the records to the district attorney 2 weeks ago. Robert stopped breathing. Whitaker's head snapped toward Sophia. You're certain? Sophia nodded. She told me the investigation would start after the will reading. Ashley looked between them. Wait, what investigation? No one answered her. Because everyone in the room had just realized something terrifying. Grandma Eleanor hadn't just written a will. She had set a trap. Robert stared at Sophia with hatred burning in his eyes. You think you've won? He said. Sophia didn't answer. Because she wasn't sure. Not yet. Whitaker cleared his throat carefully. For everyone's sake, he said, I believe this meeting should conclude for the evening. No one argued. The Carter family filed out into the rain like a group of strangers leaving a courtroom. Sophia stepped outside and breathed in the cold night air. The city smelled like wet asphalt and street food. A taxi splashed through a puddle nearby. For a moment she thought about Grandma again. About those quiet nights in the hospital room. About the envelope she had been too afraid to open. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Sophia answered cautiously. Hello? A calm male voice spoke. Miss Carter? Yes. This is Detective Marcus Hill from the Manhattan Financial Crimes Division. Sophia's chest tightened. Yes? We received documentation from your grandmother regarding Carter Holdings. Sophia glanced across the street. Robert stood near the SUVs talking angrily on his phone. Ashley paced beside him. What kind of documentation? Sophia asked quietly. The detective paused. Evidence of corporate embezzlement and fraud. Sophia exhaled slowly. Grandma had really done it. She also mentioned you might be contacted, Hill continued. We'd like to speak with you tomorrow. Sophia nodded. Okay. The detective's voice softened slightly. Your grandmother was a very sharp woman. Sophia smiled faintly. Yeah, she said. She was. The call ended. Across the street, Robert noticed Sophia watching him. For a second the noise of the city faded. Just the two of them staring at each other in the rain. Robert ended his phone call and walked toward her slowly. Ashley followed nervously behind him. Robert stopped a few feet away. You think this is funny? He said. Sophia shook her head. No. Because it's not, Robert snapped. Ashley looked scared now. Dad, she whispered. Robert ignored her. You've just started a war you can't win. Sophia crossed her arms. War, she said. You robbed your own mother. Robert leaned closer. You have no idea how business works. Sophia met his gaze. I know stealing when I see it. Robert's voice dropped to a whisper. $2 million won't protect you. Sophia didn't blink. Maybe not. Then she stepped closer too. But prison might stop you. Ashley grabbed Robert's arm. Dad, let's just go. Robert stared at Sophia one last time. The anger in his eyes had turned into something colder. Calculation. Then he turned and walked back to the SUV. Ashley hesitated before following him. For a moment she looked at Sophia like she wanted to say something. But then she got into the car. The SUVs pulled away into the rain. Sophia stood alone on the sidewalk. Her phone buzzed again. This time it was a text. From a number she didn't recognize. She opened it. One message. 3 words. Check the locker. Sophia frowned. Locker? Then she remembered something. Her grandmother's hospital room. The small metal locker beside the bed. Grandma had asked Sophia to bring her purse from it once. But Sophia had never checked inside afterward. Her stomach twisted. Maybe Grandma had left something else. Something important. Sophia immediately hailed a taxi. Mount Sinai Hospital, she told the driver. The cab sped through the wet Manhattan streets. Neon lights blurred across the windows. Traffic crawled through Midtown. Sophia's mind raced. What else had Grandma discovered? 20 minutes later the taxi stopped outside the hospital. Sophia rushed inside. The familiar smell of disinfectant and coffee hit her instantly. Night shift nurses moved through the halls. Someone waved. "Hey Sophia. Thought you were off tonight." "Just grabbing something," she said quickly. She took the elevator up to the cardiac floor. Grandma's old room was empty now. The bed stripped. Machines gone. The metal locker still stood beside the wall. Sophia opened it slowly. Inside was a small brown envelope. Her hand started shaking again. She pulled it out. On the front, written in Grandma's careful handwriting, were 6 words. "Sophia, if Robert finds this first, run." A chill crawled up her spine. Sophia opened the envelope. Inside was a flash drive. And a second letter. Sophia unfolded it. Her grandmother's handwriting filled the page. "My sweet girl. If you're reading this, the will has already been announced. That means Robert knows he's exposed. What I'm about to tell you is dangerous. The money he stole wasn't just for himself. Robert has been working with people who launder money through construction contracts. Very dangerous people. If Robert realizes you have this information, he will try to stop you. Take the flash drive to the police immediately. Do not trust anyone in the family. And Sophia. I'm so sorry I had to drag you into this. But you were the only one brave enough to finish what I started." Sophia lowered the letter slowly. Her heart pounded harder than it had all night. This wasn't just family drama anymore. This was something bigger. Something criminal. And suddenly the $2 million felt like the least important thing in the world. Sophia slid the flash drive into her bag. Then her phone buzzed again. Another unknown number. Another text. This one made her blood run cold. "We know you went to the hospital." Sophia turned slowly toward the hallway. At the far end, a man in a black jacket was standing there, watching her. And he was already walking closer. Sophia's pulse slammed against her ribs the moment she saw the man in the hallway. Hospitals at night always had a strange quiet to them. Machines beeped softly. Nurses spoke in hushed voices. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead. But now the silence felt different. Heavy. Dangerous. The man at the far end of the corridor stood perfectly still for a moment, like he had already confirmed what he needed to see. Then he started walking toward her. Not fast. Not slow. Just confident. Sophia's brain started racing. Her grandmother's words echoed in her head. "If Robert realizes you have this information, he will try to stop you." The flash drive suddenly felt like a brick inside her bag. The man kept coming. Black jacket. Tall. Broad shoulders. Early 40s maybe. Not hospital staff. Definitely not family. Sophia forced herself to move. She stepped out of the empty patient room and into the main hallway where nurses were still working. The man slowed slightly when he saw other people nearby. Good. Witnesses. Sophia kept walking toward the nurses' station like everything was normal. Her coworker Jenna looked up. "Hey, sophomore, thought you were off tonight." Sophia forced a smile. "Yeah, just grabbing something." Out of the corner of her eye she could see the man approaching. Closer. Closer. Then he stopped about 10 feet away. Just watching. Sophia turned to Jenna. "Hey, do you know if security is still downstairs tonight?" Jenna frowned. "Yeah, why?" Sophia shrugged casually. "Oh, nothing, I think someone was asking for directions earlier." Jenna glanced past her. The man was already walking away. Disappearing down the hall. Sophia exhaled slowly. Her hands were shaking. He had been looking for her. And now he knew where she worked. Sophia grabbed her bag. Hey Jenna, I gotta run actually. Everything okay? Yeah, Sophia said quickly. Just family stuff. She hurried toward the elevator. Every step felt too loud. The doors opened and she stepped inside alone. The second they closed, she pulled out her phone and dialed the number Detective Hill had called from earlier. He answered on the second ring. Detective Hill. This is Sophia Carter, she said quickly. A pause. Miss Carter? I think someone is following me. His voice sharpened immediately. Where are you right now? Mount Sinai Hospital. Are you safe? For the moment. Hill was quiet for a second. Did you retrieve anything your grandmother left you? Sophia hesitated. Yes. What was it? A flash drive. Another pause. Miss Carter, Hill said carefully, you need to bring that directly to us. Sophia swallowed. I was planning to. Good, Hill said. Then his tone turned serious. But you should know something. Sophia's stomach tightened. What? The people connected to Robert Carter, they're not small-time fraudsters. The elevator reached the lobby. The doors opened. What are they? Sophia asked. Hill's answer made her skin crawl. Organized crime. Sophia stepped outside into the cold Manhattan night again. The rain had slowed to a mist, but the streets still glistened under the streetlights. Traffic moved slowly along Madison Avenue. Sophia walked quickly toward the corner. Her mind was spinning. Organized crime. Her uncle wasn't just stealing from the company. He was laundering money for criminals. Her phone crackled again. Hill's voice continued. Listen carefully. I want you to go somewhere public and stay there until I can send a patrol unit. Sophia looked around. A diner glowed across the street. Bright lights. Crowded. Perfect. Okay, she said. I'm going into a diner. Good, Hill replied. And Sophia? Yeah? Do not let that flash drive out of your possession. The call ended. Sophia hurried across the street and pushed through the diner doors. Warm air wrapped around her. The smell of coffee and fried food filled the room. Classic New York late-night spot. Taxi drivers at the counter. A couple arguing in a booth. A tired waitress refilling mugs. Sophia slid into a corner booth and set her bag on the seat beside her. The waitress walked over. Coffee? Sophia nodded. Please. The waitress poured a steaming cup. Sophia wrapped her hands around it, trying to calm her racing heart. Outside the window, traffic rolled past. No black jacket. No suspicious figures. Still. She couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. 20 minutes passed. Then 30. Sophia checked her phone. No new messages. Maybe the guy from the hospital had just been a scare tactic. Maybe. The bell above the diner door rang. Sophia looked up. Her stomach dropped. Robert Carter walked in. Sophia felt the blood drain from her face. He spotted her immediately. Of course he did. He walked over slowly and slid into the booth across from her. Like this was just another family dinner. Sophia stared at him. How did you find me? Robert smirked. You've always been predictable. Sophia's hand tightened around her coffee mug. You're following me now? Robert leaned back. You think I'd let you walk around with evidence against me? Sophia said nothing. Robert studied her carefully. You know what the funny part is, he said. What? I actually respected you once. Sophia almost laughed. You ignored Grandma for 5 years. Robert shrugged. Business. You robbed her, Sophia said. Robert's smile vanished. You should really stop saying that. Sophia leaned forward. Or what? Robert's voice dropped low. Or bad things happen. Sophia held his gaze. You mean like threatening me in a diner full of witnesses? Robert chuckled. You watch too many movies. Sophia felt something shift inside her. Fear turning slowly into anger. You know what, she said. Grandma was right about you. Robert's eyes narrowed. What did she say? Sophia didn't hesitate. She said you were weak. Robert's jaw tightened. She said you were so desperate to prove yourself you'd destroy the entire family. Robert's hand clenched on the table. And now look at you, Sophia continued. Working with criminals. Robert leaned forward suddenly. Careful. Sophia didn't flinch. You stole $8 million. Robert laughed softly. 8 million, he said. You think that's a lot of money? Sophia blinked. Robert's smile turned cold. That money was just the beginning. Sophia felt a chill crawl up her spine. What do you mean? Robert leaned closer. The people I work with move hundreds of millions. Sophia's stomach twisted. Robert continued calmly. You think a little flash drive is going to stop that machine? Sophia didn't answer. Because suddenly she wasn't so sure. Robert sat back again. Here's what's going to happen, he said. You're going to give me the drive. Sophia shook her head. No. Robert sighed. I was hoping you'd say that. Sophia frowned. Why? Robert smiled again. Because now it's not my problem anymore. Sophia's heart skipped. What are you talking about? Robert nodded toward the diner window. Sophia turned. A black SUV had just pulled up outside. 2 men stepped out. Both wearing dark jackets. Both scanning the diner. Sophia turned back slowly. Robert stood up. You should have taken the money and walked away, he said. Sophia's voice came out tight. You're setting me up. Robert shrugged. I'm surviving. Then he walked toward the door. Sophia jumped up. Robert. He stopped briefly. Without turning around, he said one final sentence. The people outside? Sophia's pulse pounded. What about them? Robert opened the door. They don't ask questions. The bell above the diner rang as he stepped into the night. And the 2 men outside were already walking toward the entrance. The diner door opened. Cold air rushed inside. Sophia's pulse thundered in her ears as the 2 men stepped through the entrance. They looked exactly like the type of men you avoided eye contact with in New York after midnight. Tall. Heavy jackets. Hard faces. The kind of guys who didn't smile. The bell above the door jingled softly as it closed behind them. Everything inside Sophia's body screamed run. But she forced herself to stay calm. Running would only confirm she had something they wanted. The men paused just inside the entrance, scanning the diner. Sophia quickly looked down at her coffee cup like she was just another tired customer. Her bag rested beside her. Inside it, the flash drive. The entire reason these men were here. One of the men nudged the other. Then they started walking deeper into the diner. Sophia's heart slammed harder. They were checking booths. Table by table. The waitress approached them. You guys ordering something? The taller one barely looked at her. Looking for someone. The waitress frowned. This isn't a police station, buddy. The man ignored her and kept walking. Sophia knew she had seconds. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. A message from Detective Hill. Unit is 5 minutes away. 5 minutes felt like an hour. Sophia slowly slid out of the booth. Trying to move casually. Like she was just heading to the restroom. The men were halfway down the diner now. If they looked right, they'd see her. Sophia turned the corner toward the hallway. and immediately pushed through the back door. Cold air slapped her face as she stepped into the alley behind the diner. Trash bins. Wet pavement. The distant roar of traffic. Sophia hurried toward the street exit at the far end. Her shoes splashed through puddles. Then the back door burst open behind her. Hey! Sophia didn't look back. She ran. The alley opened onto a side street lit by flickering lamps. New York traffic roared just 1 block away. Sophia sprinted toward the corner. Footsteps thundered behind her. One of the men shouted. Stop. Yeah, right. Sophia turned the corner and nearly collided with a delivery cyclist. Sorry, she gasped, pushing past. Cars streamed down Madison Avenue. Taxis. Buses. Endless noise. Sophia darted through traffic, horns blaring around her. Behind her the men burst onto the street. One of them shoved a taxi aside to follow. Sophia ran toward the subway entrance. The green globe lights glowed like a lifeline. She jumped down the stairs 2 at a time. The subway platform was crowded with late-night commuters. Music from a busker echoed through the station. Sophia pushed through the crowd. Her lungs burned. Behind her she heard the pounding footsteps again. They were still coming. A train screeched into the station. Doors sliding open. Sophia sprinted forward and jumped inside just as the chime sounded. The doors began to close. One of the men reached them. Too late. The train pulled away. Sophia collapsed into a seat, gasping for air. Passengers stared. A teenager muttered, "Damn, that was wild." Sophia looked out the window. The 2 men stood on the platform watching the train disappear into the tunnel. Her heart was still racing. But she was safe. For now. Her phone rang. Detective Hill again. Sophia answered. "Where are you?" he asked. "On the subway," she said between breaths. There was a pause. "You ran?" "I had company." Hill sighed. "All right. Get off at the next stop and wait somewhere public. I'm sending officers." Sophia nodded even though he couldn't see her. "Okay." The train rattled through the tunnel. Sophia's hands trembled as she reached into her bag and touched the flash drive. One tiny piece of metal. But apparently powerful enough to get people chasing her through Manhattan. The train slowed at the next station. Lexington Avenue. Sophia stepped onto the platform and climbed the stairs to street level. The night air hit her again. New York was still alive despite the hour. Food trucks. Late-night pedestrians. Police sirens somewhere far away. Sophia walked into a small convenience store on the corner. Bright lights. Security cameras. Good. She waited near the refrigerator aisle. 5 minutes later 2 NYPD officers entered the store. "Miss Carter?" one of them asked. Sophia raised her hand. "That's me." They escorted her outside to a patrol car. One officer opened the door. "Detective Hill asked us to bring you downtown." Sophia climbed in. The car pulled into traffic. Manhattan lights streaked across the windows as they drove south. 20 minutes later they stopped outside a tall stone building. The Manhattan Financial Crimes Division. Inside, Detective Marcus Hill waited near the front desk. He was taller than Sophia expected. Mid-40s. Sharp eyes. Wearing a dark suit instead of a uniform. "Miss Carter," he said. Sophia handed him the flash drive. "This is what my grandmother left." Hill examined it carefully. "You did the right thing bringing this in." They walked into a small conference room. Hill plugged the drive into a computer. Files appeared instantly. Dozens of them. Bank transfers. Contracts. Account numbers. Hill leaned closer to the screen. Then his expression changed. Sophia noticed immediately. "What is it?" Hill exhaled slowly. Your grandmother was very thorough. Sophia sat down. What does it show? Hill scrolled through the documents. Money laundering routes. How much? Hill didn't answer immediately. Instead, he opened one of the spreadsheets. Sophia leaned forward. The numbers made her stomach drop. $217 million. Sophia blinked. That's $200 million. Hill nodded. Looks like your uncle's network has been moving money through construction projects all over New York. Sophia felt dizzy. This is huge. Hill looked serious. It's bigger than huge. He turned toward her. This connects to an organized crime syndicate we've been trying to build a case against for years. Sophia swallowed. So this drive could take down a lot of powerful people. Before Sophia could respond, the door suddenly burst open. Another detective rushed inside. Hill. Hill stood. What is it? The detective looked uneasy. We just got a call. From who? The detective glanced at Sophia. From Robert Carter. Sophia's stomach dropped. Hill frowned. What did he say? The detective answered quietly. He says Sophia Carter stole the flash drive from him, and he wants her arrested. The room went silent. Sophia stared in disbelief. He's lying. Hill nodded. I figured. Then the detective added something worse. He also filed a report claiming the drive contains confidential company data. Sophia's chest tightened. What does that mean? Hill's jaw clenched. It means if the courts believe him. He looked at the flash drive. This evidence could be thrown out. Sophia felt the ground drop beneath her. All of this. Grandma's plan. The chase. The danger. And Robert might still win. Hill stared at the screen. Then muttered something under his breath. What? Sophia asked. Hill looked at her. Your uncle just made a very bold move. Sophia's voice came out barely above a whisper. Why? Hill leaned back in his chair. Because innocent people don't try this hard to hide evidence. Then he closed the laptop slowly. But now the real fight begins. Sophia felt a chill run down her spine. Because for the first time since the will reading, she realized something. Robert Carter wasn't just trying to escape prison. He was trying to destroy her. And this war was far from over. The room inside the Financial Crimes Division felt colder after the door closed. Sophia sat quietly at the conference table while Detective Marcus Hill stared at the laptop screen in front of him. The flash drive lay beside the keyboard like a small, dangerous secret. Hill rubbed his forehead slowly. Your uncle is playing a smart game, he said. Sophia's voice was tired but steady. He's lying. I know, Hill replied. But proving that in court is another story. Sophia leaned back in the chair. Outside the tall windows of the building, the Manhattan skyline glowed against the night. Yellow taxis moved through traffic like fireflies. The city never stopped. Not even when someone's life was falling apart. What happens now? Sophia asked. Hill crossed his arms. Now Robert's lawyers will argue that the flash drive was stolen property. If a judge believes them, every piece of evidence on it becomes unusable. Sophia felt frustration burning in her chest. So he just gets away with it? Hill shook his head. No. He tapped the laptop. Because your grandmother was smarter than that. Sophia looked at him. What do you mean? Hill opened another folder on the screen. These files contain transaction records, but they also contain timestamps and authentication codes. Sophia frowned. Okay. Hill looked at her with a small smile. That means we can prove they came from Carter Holdings' internal servers. Sophia blinked. So Robert can't claim they were stolen? Hill nodded. Exactly. Relief flooded through her. But Hill didn't look relaxed. In fact, he looked even more serious. "There's still a problem," he said. Sophia's stomach tightened again. "What problem?" Hill turned the laptop toward her. "Your uncle didn't just accuse you of stealing company data." Sophia leaned forward. "What else did he say?" Hill's voice was calm but heavy. "He claims you blackmailed your grandmother into writing the will." Sophia stared at him. "That's insane." "Of course it is," Hill said. "But his lawyers will push that narrative hard." Sophia shook her head slowly. "He's trying to destroy my credibility." Hill nodded. "Exactly." Silence filled the room. For a moment Sophia felt the weight of everything crashing down on her. The money. The accusations. The danger. The family betrayal. Then Hill spoke again. "There's something else you should know." Sophia looked up. "What?" Hill closed the laptop. "Robert Carter didn't come up with this strategy alone." Sophia frowned. "What do you mean?" Hill hesitated. "The crime syndicate he's working with, they have lawyers too." Sophia felt a chill crawl up her spine. "So they're protecting him?" "Yes." Hill leaned forward. "And that means they see you as a threat." Sophia already knew that. 2 men chasing her through Manhattan had made that pretty clear. "So what do we do?" she asked. Hill looked at her carefully. "We finish what your grandmother started." Sophia took a deep breath. "How?" Hill opened a folder from his desk drawer. Inside were printed photographs. Construction sites. Office buildings. Warehouses. "What you brought us tonight proves money laundering," Hill explained. "But to take down the entire operation, we need to show where the money is actually going." Sophia studied the photos. "And Robert knows that." Hill nodded. "That's why he's panicking." Sophia leaned back slowly. "My grandmother knew this was dangerous." Hill looked at her. "She also knew you were the only one brave enough to finish it." Sophia didn't feel brave. She felt exhausted. But she also felt something else. Determination. "Tell me what you need," she said. Hill nodded. "First we secure the evidence." He picked up the flash drive. "Then we bring Robert in for questioning." Sophia looked surprised. "You think he'll talk?" Hill gave a dry laugh. "No. But criminals make mistakes when they're scared." The clock on the wall showed 2:37 a.m. The city outside was quieter now. Sophia suddenly remembered something. "My grandmother." Hill looked up. "What about her?" Sophia reached into her bag and pulled out the letter again. "There's one line I didn't tell you about." Hill raised an eyebrow. "What line?" Sophia unfolded the paper and read it quietly. "If Robert realizes he's trapped, he'll run." Hill frowned. "That makes sense." Sophia looked up. "But the next part says something strange." Hill leaned forward. "What does it say?" Sophia read the sentence slowly. "Robert won't run alone." Hill's eyes narrowed. "What does that mean?" Sophia shrugged. "I don't know." Hill stood up suddenly. "Wait here." He walked out of the room quickly. Sophia sat alone for a few minutes. Her mind replayed everything that had happened. The will. The flash drive. The chase. Robert's threats. Then Hill returned. And the expression on his face told her something had just gone very wrong. "What happened?" Sophia asked. Hill shut the door behind him. "We just got new information." Sophia felt her heart start racing again. "What kind of information?" Hill spoke carefully. "Robert Carter just boarded a private jet." Sophia stood up. "He's leaving the country?" Hill nodded. "Looks like it." Sophia clenched her fists. "You said he wouldn't run." Hill sighed. "I said criminals make mistakes." Sophia stared at him. So we stop him? Hill hesitated. It's not that simple. Sophia's voice sharpened. Why not? Hill took a breath. Because he's not alone. Sophia felt a chill spread through her. Who's with him? Hill answered quietly. Your cousin Ashley. Sophia froze. Ashley? The spoiled influencer who barely cared about anything? Why would she go with him? Sophia asked. Hill looked at the file in his hands. Because the jet isn't flying to Europe. Sophia's stomach dropped. Then where is it going? Hill looked directly at her. To the Cayman Islands. Sophia's mind raced. Offshore banks. Hidden money. Robert wasn't running. He was going to retrieve something. Hill continued. And according to flight records, the plane leaves in 40 minutes. Sophia's heart pounded. Then we still have time. Hill looked at her. You want to stop him? Sophia didn't hesitate. Yes. Hill grabbed his jacket. All right then. Sophia followed him toward the door. Sirens echoed somewhere outside in the city. Hill turned to her. One last thing. Sophia looked at him. What? Hill's voice was serious. If Robert escapes tonight, all that money disappears forever. Sophia nodded. I know. They stepped out into the cold Manhattan night. Police lights flashed across the street as officers prepared their cars. Hill opened the passenger door. Let's go catch your uncle. Sophia climbed inside. The engine roared to life. And as the car sped toward the airport, Sophia realized something. Her grandmother hadn't just left her $2 million. She had left her a war.